Well, howdy. If I haven't had a day of it, glory. Welcome here to the Double M Farm. I just made you guys the best video of removing all of the greasable pins on the Harbor Freight trencher after 7.5 years of hard use and seeing what kind of shape they were in as I pulled them out and greasing and replacing the ones that were good and or reinserting the ones that were good, replacing the ones that were broken or bad with new ones that I ordered from Harbor Freight. And it was I got to tell you, it was a fantastic video. This was Oscar-worthy material. I'm here to tell you. Great camera angles, great dialogue. I really knocked it out of the park with this video. It was about 25 minutes long. Paused in between some places, as I was doing the work to keep from boring you too much. And then I went in the house after almost having a heat stroke for lunch and tried to download it because I was through. Tried to download it onto the computer to upload it to YouTube. And when it started downloading, I could tell something was wrong, and it tried for about 10 minutes. Then it said, this file is encrypted, not encrypted, anyhow, it wouldn't download it. So I still have it on that camera, but I can't get it off the camera. And so you'll just have to take my word for it that it was the best video I've ever made, because you're probably never going to see it. So, no, all kidding aside, I really hate that video, I wasn't able to upload it. And basically what it was is showing me replacing all the pins. And I've just finished pressure washing it. I'm going to let it sit out here and dry. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon now. I've been working on this thing since about 9:30 this morning. But to give you a quick synopsis of what I did and show you what the pins look like that I removed, started at this end, at the bucket end. Removed the pins from the bucket, removed the pins from the cylinders, removed the pin for the dipper and removed the dipper, removed the pins for those two cylinders, lowered the boom down to the ground, removed the big pin down at the bottom of the boom, removed all of the pins on the other ends of the cylinders and just had cardboard on the ground. I laid them over on the cardboard. I numbered them so I wouldn't accidentally put them back in the wrong place, but then I realized, well, heck, the hoses wouldn't allow me to put them in the wrong place because of their length. But, I'm old and stupid. So all of the pins have either been cleaned, re-greased, and put back in, or replaced if they were damaged. These pins, you can see right here plainly, those two pins are brand new. Those two pins that were in there were so packed with clay that they wouldn't allow the grease to get in. And it was pretty dry in there inside. So that means it was dry inside of here and dry inside of this sleeve. So I took them out and replaced them with brand new pins. All of those were ordered from Harbor Freight. These two pins were good. All I had to do was clean them up a little bit, clean inside the cylinders, and just grease everything up good by hand, and then reinserted them. And basically, as you can figure, after I took everything apart, I started re-putting it back together from that end, working back this way. But we'll just go through it in the way that I pulled them out. And so those two were good. And I'm not surprised that those were the two bad ones. Of all the clevis pins, which are the ones with the flush grease fitting, of all of those, these were the only two that I had to replace with new fittings, with new pins. All the rest of them were good, still plenty usable. No extra wear that made them waller out or anything. You can see there's that one, and so on. Those two, that one right there, and that one right there. I did not pull that one on the back end there. I'll pull it later. It's so easy to get to. So all those were fine, no problem with them. I will show them to you, the ones that I pulled out. But then we get to the main boom pin, the one at the top that connects the dipper to the boom, and the one down at the bottom that connects the boom to the actual body of the machine. I knew this one was going to have to be replaced. As you can see, that's welded. Well, the weld here was cracked. There was a perfect circle here, and this outer thing was spinning one way with the sleeve inside spinning the other way. And It's the weird, I don't know why they even built these things this way. So that's one of the new ones. Here are the old ones. This one was getting good grease. This is the one out of the bottom. It was getting plenty of grease. You see how greased up it is. And their wells were broken on one end. This well's broken on this end. Trying not to get grease on my hands while I'm holding the camera. And this well is still good. This is the one that came out of the upper end next to the dipper. And that's the middle shaft, and this is the piece goes in the middle, and then that's the two ends. This is the one that was up top that I could see that the well was broken on it. And you can see there a little bit, if it'll show up on camera, that well is cracked right there. You can see where some grease is oozing out. So I replaced both of those. But the point is, it's not a lack of grease that's causing them to break. It's just the stress of working with it. If grease would keep it from breaking, this one wouldn't have broke. It's full of grease. This one too. They were both plenty well greased. So what's causing them to break is just the wear and tear and stress. So then we get down to the main boom pin that goes up and down that way. Well, there it is. That's the one I pulled out. And as you can see, that bad boy's plenty greased up. There was no problems with grease there. That's 7.5 years of digging. And, I dug a pond in hard red mountain clay. And it's the same type pin with the sleeves. There's a main pin in the middle, and then all of these sleeves, and then these two ends are welded. Well, the weld broke on one end of this one. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to get greasy while I'm holding this camera. I just cleaned up while I was running the pressure washer. But one end, the weld broke on one end. So that cap came off, and then all of these pieces just fell off. Turned out to be the bottom one, so they all fell out the bottom on the ground. But again, it was not a grease problem. Greasing it will not keep it from breaking because it's got plenty of grease. The cylinder in the middle was jammed full of grease. All the way down inside here was full of grease, just packed as much as you could ever want to pack it. So it's not a grease issue on these three pins breaking. It's just fatigue and wear causing these welds to break. Now, I will say that the weld on these new ones, to me, looks better than the weld on the old ones that are just removed. But time will tell. And if you hadn't noticed, I'm replacing all of these with these to make it easier, but I just didn't have enough of those on hand, so I had to put some of these back in until I get some more of those, just to make it easier. But after 7.5 years of hard digging, I can say that I'm well pleased with the outcome of these pins. Only having replaced 2 clevis pins, and again, these were out here on the bucket, digging that pond and that red clay and sticky muck and mud, packed those pins up to where the grease just wouldn't get in. And I've got those pins right here. Can you guess which ones are the new ones? That's some leftover ones. Can you guess which ones are the new ones and which ones are the old ones? Yeah. That's all the old ones. 2 of them I already had pulled out a long time ago. And so 2 of those pins on there are second generation pins. And it was, again, 2 pins at the bucket. So all of you pay very close attention to your clevis pins that mount the bucket, because the mud is packing up. All 4 of these pins, 2 were replaced, I'd say 3 years ago. And now, after 7.5 years, I've replaced 2 more. So that's roughly 3 years, 3.5 years I'm getting out of these pins before they're clogging up. See if I can find one. I don't even know if it'll show up on camera. Yeah, there's the grease hole. You can see it right there. And it's just impacted with mud. You put the grease gun on the little BB and pump, and nothing comes out. So they're just impacted with mud. There's one right there. You can see how full it is. Trying to get it in some light, maybe not. But anyhow, have to take my word for it. The grease won't go through them. So I've got 3 extra ones. I just ordered a bunch of them. Something else you'll know, if you order these pins, they come, if you order, I ordered two of this length. I figured I'd get the longest ones. You know, they're all the same diameter, but there's 3 different lengths. I ordered 2 of the longest ones because I already had 2 on hand, and I knew about this little trick. So I figured 2 more would give me, basically you think 4, right? But it doesn't. If you order, I've got 1 more of these. This is the main boom pin, top and bottom. I got 3 of these just to have a spare, since we know that these wells seem to be wanting to break. That's a pretty darn good looking well on there. But here's the thing, even when it breaks, the darn thing still operates, because those have been broken for 1.5 to 2 years that I noticed, and it's still been working fine. So even when they break, the machine still operates fine. And to be serious, to be honest with you, it may put less wear and tear on that cavity that they slide through, because you've got this pin sliding independently of inside this, which to me is just less friction on everything, but maybe I'm wrong. But getting back to ordering these, ordered 2. Well, there it is right there on the thing, 2. And they are $11.96 each. Okay? Well, they come, there's 1 box, 2 boxes. That's the 2 that I ordered. But they come 2 in a box. So if you order 2 clevis pins of any of the 3 lengths, you're going to get 4. If you order 1 clevis pin, you're going to get 2 pins. Now, I don't know if that always happens, but it's happened to me twice that way when I've ordered them. So they can, when it's list 1 on their parts list on the website, it's 1 box with 2 in a box. Now, all the other pins are 1 in a box. So if you order 1, you get 1. But the greasable clevis pins, if you order 1, you actually get 2. But there they are. That is, let's see, these are the 2 I had taken out previous. So those 2 right there have been, nope, I'm sorry. There we go. I can tell by the dirt. Those 2 right there just came out today. Those 2 are the 2 that I took out 2 or 3 years ago. So these 2 right here have been in the machine 7.5 years, and they will no longer allow grease to pass through, and they were right there on the bucket where all the mud is. So if you get anything out of this video, it is that you need to check those 2 pins more often and grease more often to try to keep that mud from getting packed up in there if you dig in mud. And at some point in time, we all dig in mud, except some of you down maybe in Florida that dig in sand, which I've heard from some people has been hard to do because they say the outriggers won't hold in the sand. They try to dig and it pulls the machine forward. All I can recommend is take smaller bites and maybe it won't do it. But anyhow, that is the story on the pins. And again, I'm pleased. I don't think that's too bad for 7.5 years work. I'm going to change the oil and the hydraulic fluid and all, but I'm not going to make a video of that. If you've got a tractor or a lawnmower, you've probably already done that, and there's nothing I could find that would be of informational value, I don't think. If you've never pulled the cover off of that cylinder, that cover right there, pull it. It's only 4 bolts. When I pulled that cover, there was more muck and mud and leaves and trash. I was almost scared to stick my hand in there. I thought it might be a snake or something. There was so much gunk piled up in there. So pull it, because the way it's designed, it's almost impossible to hose it from the outside and get it all out. So I just left it off so that I could pressure wash it all. And one thing I'm thinking, and you guys can comment down below what you think. This one is not worn. I've measured it. It's still the same size it was new from the factory, but it still has, and it's got enough pressure on it that I can't move it. It still has that play in it that they've always had in this, you know, when you go that side to side. A 1 inch, and I know that this is probably worn and wallered. It couldn't look at it and tell that it had, and to be honest with you, the thing had play in it the day I bought it. So I'm thinking about going to Tractor Supply or any other farm supply store and getting a 1 inch hitch pin and pulling that metric pin out and replacing it with that 1 inch. It's going to be a snug fit. I'll either have to drill it and tap it for a grease fitting, or just manually pull it out ever so often and grease it and slide it back in, which wouldn't be hard to do with that location. I've got one of those locking pins on it, so it'd be easy to release it and pull it out. But I'm thinking about trying that to see if it would remove a little bit of that slop in the side-to-side movement. Now, the drawback to that, if there's a good side, there's always a bad side. The drawback is if it's very tight, you may start damaging something. And another thing, when you order these clevis pins, I told you they're all the same diameter and there's 3 lengths. Well, there's one short length, and there's only one of those on the machine, and this is it. And be very careful. Don't think you can order very long ones and put in here, because they will hit right here. And you don't want that to happen. So, make sure you get a short one if you somebody's trying to call me while I'm trying to record. There we go. I'm recording this on my phone because I don't trust that camera since it's already messed up one time. So if you do order a pin for that one, make sure you get the shortest pin that's made for that spot so that it won't hit that axle when you go to swing your boom. I'm going to try the hitch pin. I'll get a 1 inch, and it'll probably be too long. I'll have to cut it off to get a 1 inch pin. I'm sure I'm not going to be able to get one. That thing's about 4 3/4 inches, and I don't think I've ever seen a 1 inch hitch pin that short. I'm sure they make them. I just haven't seen one in the stores around here. But I'm going to try that, and I'll do a little follow-up and let you know how it worked. And dadgummit, I see a spot under there I missed with the pressure washer. Dadgum. Oh, well, it's underneath. I'll tell you what. Little Red hasn't been that clean and shiny in 7.5 years. So all you boys have just bought a brand new one, I'm right back with you now. I got new pins, and everything's tightened up and buttoned down and greased up. I'm ready to get back to digging. So I appreciate y'all. And again, I'm sorry y'all missed that award-winning video that got encrypted, crashed, whatever the hell happened to it. So I do appreciate you joining me here again on the Double M Farm, and we'll talk again real soon.